Good afternoon, everyone. Well, good evening. Sorry, I'm on the West Coast, and I know most of you are on the East Coast. A little unusual for me, but I'll be here for a while. This is Dee with DVC Shop, and we have Joe Wolfers, our wonderful Mr. Knowledge Man who knows it all, and we are going. His wife says he doesn't know it all, but
that's very true.
We're going to talk to you about the annual meeting and basically what happened with the dues for 2021 due to COVID. So, Joe, I'm going to let you get started. And guys, please put your comments up when we get to the end. We will answer your comments. If you'd go in there and put your name, that would be absolutely great so we know who we're talking to. But
yeah,
Joe, get started. It's all yours.
Yeah, please put your name, just because I know some of the comments, especially coming from the Facebook group, it sounds like it's just not showing it. So we'd love to know who's saying stuff and how to respond. But yeah, let's dive in. I got a little bit of housekeeping stuff. I wanted to cover some of the kind of the new news prior to the meeting. So we'll kind of recap a few things there, then jump into the annual meeting and some of the really important stuff. Obviously, the annual meeting's a kind of a slow mover most of the time. So there's not a ton of big, huge news, but there are some things that I know some of you really want to know about. So kicking off recent news, we've got the poly construction update. Things are moving along. If you guys have been keeping up with some of the other blog sites and such, they are tearing that thing to pieces and redoing a bunch of stuff. Good news for everybody with DVC. Nothing's really changed for us in the grand scheme of things. All the DVC buildings are still open. You can book a room.
And not being refurnished at this time.
Yes, they are not being refitted. So that's one question we get a lot. The Moana retheming is all on the hotel side of the resort. So none of the DVC rooms are getting that, at least not now. They may start to add some of that flair on its first major refurb down the road, but none of that for the time being. But when it comes to DVC, well, I mean, you're still being affected a little bit. You got some stuff still closed at the Great Ceremonial House. I know Ohana's still closed. Trader Sam's is still closed. A few of those things. But for the most part, nothing has changed. For those of you that do stay Polynesian until early next summer at least, take the TCC route to get on the monorail because the monorail station is closed. But you can go just walk right over. It's actually from two of the buildings, at least, it's closer to walk to the TTC in the first place than it is to walk to Great Ceremonial House. So just keep that in mind. Don't let it scare you away. I know that a lot of people, and you can tell because if you go on the booking calendar, it's wide open at Polynesian.
Guys, you're going to have the resort to yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some benefits to this.
Nothing but DVC.
Think about this. That pool, the two pools that are there, are designed for a capacity for the whole hotel, and only 3 of those buildings are being in use. And really, I think it's only like 2 right now. So you can go swim practically by yourself, which is great. So keep that in mind. As I said, the transportation options, they can be beat, and you can actually walk to Grand Floridian and now all the way to Magic Kingdom too. So which we're going to get into here in a second. So you keep that in mind. So I would say don't let the construction refurbishment scare you away. Obviously, there are a few amenities that are still closed down, but it's the same ones that have been closed since COVID.
Trader Sam's is the biggest thing.
So yeah, Trader Sam's and Ohana are the 2 biggest ones. So you can still get a Dole Whip, do all those things. So use it. Don't be afraid of it. I want to try to say that, and go book it up so we can keep these points moving. Next thing, as I said, the walkway is open at Grand Floridian finally. Hoping to do a walking tour here in the next couple weeks for y'all, so I can showcase that and you can see the drawbridge and all that stuff in person. But it is open from Grand Floridian. It's 1.2 miles from what I've marked off on Google Maps. From Polynesian, roughly 1.7. So it's a decent walk, but not a long one, especially from Grand Floridian from the Villa side. So use that to your advantage because, as we all know, the monorails get swamped at the end of the day and sometimes in the mornings too. So keep that in mind. It'll be a nice feature, especially as crowds continue to build into the holidays.
Yeah, I'm hearing about 15-minute walk.
Yeah, 10 to 15. Yeah, somewhere there.
And remember, if you're on that monorail and you're going to Epcot, for example, it's a 40-minute ride because you got to go to Ticket and Transportation, get off, go down, go around, go back up, wait for another monorail. It can be a 40-minute ride. This is a 15-minute walk from what everybody's telling me.
Yeah, it'll be nice. Hopefully getting into that. I mean, I know the Epcot monorail is still closed. We're crossing our fingers it may open in January with park hopping coming around, or maybe at least in the afternoon when park hopping is eligible. But yeah, this is quick. I mean, you think about when you get on the monorail and just take the resort loop by itself. You've got to stop at Bay Lake. I mean, over to Contemporary, you got to cruise over to Polynesian. So yeah, it's an easy, in the perfect scenario, you can maybe monorail in about 15, 20 minutes to Grand Floridian in a perfect scenario. But that's if you're able to walk right up, get right on, no stops, just cruise along. Where this, 15 minutes you walk, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about getting strollers on and off and all that type of stuff. So definitely it's a nice thing. I've always said, I mean, I've been going to Disney for a long time, and that walkway has been kind of there forever, but it's always dead-ended into nothing. And so I've always laughed. My dad, I remember we were staying at Polynesian in 2001, and my dad took a walk, and he walked all the way to the end and then got stuck and had to walk all the way back. And I remember when he walked back in, he's like, I just walked to nowhere. And so it's finally kind of come. Yeah, it's finally around. That's the good part. That's the good news, is that walkway that's kind of existed now has a destination, which is really good. So other news, California, we all know where that's at. It's not going anywhere. And DVC officially postponed the reopening of Grand Cal just a couple days before it was supposed to actually reopen.
The whole state is actually closed down again. No restaurants, no bars, no nothing, because I am here for 3 months and you can't get anything. You have to pick up food. It's
your fault. You went out there and they closed back down again. Sorry.
Well, it was announced like a couple of days before I got here.
No, yeah, it's one of those things. Until that they get it figured out there on a grander scale, this is going to be touch and go. And so I have a feeling, I don't think we're going to see any reservations through probably January 15th at best, maybe the 31st. So
they're saying out here that he's not even thinking about opening anything up until the first quarter of the year is open.
Yeah. So be prepared if you have a Grand Cal reservation to be seeing those cancellation emails come out. And all you can do is just kind of keep moving it forward and hoping one of them finally sticks. Otherwise, move those points elsewhere, and it'll get open eventually, we hope. So on the other side, we're getting some movement on the other DVC tower out there. So we'll see how that ends up playing into this grand scheme of things. Let's see here. What else did we see coming up right before the annual meeting? 2022 point charts came out. And I know that there was some questions in the group. This is year number 2 of the formal reallocation we saw from 2021. And really what it comes down to is, if you really looked at most of the charts, they're heavily shifting what used to be a high point numbers in the summer, which was like from basically like the second week of June all the way through the end of August when kids went back to school. Those tended to be pretty high point seasons, if not the highest. And they're starting to shift those away and push them to the fall because DVC patterns have drastically changed over the years. Right now, October is the single busiest month for DVC out of any month of the year. So they had to start making some moves. The reason they're doing this over 2 years, for those of you that don't know the ins and outs of how the reallocation process works, DVC cannot move a point chart more than 20% within a single year without putting it to member approval. So to avoid that problem, they just spread it out over a couple years, 2, 3. They did the same thing back in 2010, I think it was, when we saw a point shift from weekdays to weekends. Up till 2010, it was the same every night of the week, so they shifted things towards the weekend, and now they're doing this kind of the same thing, reallocating towards October, early November, those types of months where things are a lot busier than they once were. It is by far the cheapest. If you can travel in the heat, early September is next to nothing when it comes to points. I think I saw Value Studios, maybe a 7-pointer. I didn't have a chance to really look it over, but I know last year there was an 8.9 in there. So that's really, really cheap. So keep that in mind.
Let's make sure that everybody understands these are not new points. If a resort has 10 million points, they cannot have 10 million in one. It will be 10 million until that contract expires. They are just reallocating them and moving them around. So where they're increasing over here, they're decreasing over here.
Yep.
So
I always like to put it in look at it from a bucket perspective. You have 10 million points in total in your buckets. You have all these various different little buckets made up of different rooms and times of the year. And all they've got to do is move those around to keep a nice balance. As long as they don't take any marbles out or add any marbles to the buckets as a whole. And so it's important to understand that. And I know a lot of people get confused, especially when they do their DVC tours and they're like, oh, my points can never change over time. That's not entirely true. The resort as a whole cannot change. everything within inside that resort can, from days of the week and month to specific room categories, and it always fluctuates. And so, and the other thing I like to tell people too, it's not always a direct one-to-one move. If we see, I like to use the example a couple years ago when they moved things around at Animal Kingdom, we saw club level go up in points, right?
Right.
Value went down. Well, everybody's like, well, the value didn't go down as much as club went up. Well, I said, well, the part of the problem there is there's only 5 lock-offs, 2 bedrooms in club level, whereas there's 18 total lock-offs in value. So when club level went up 3 points, the corresponding decrease in value was only 1. So keep that in mind. It's all about a scale. It's all about keeping it equal. But yeah, we'll continue to see these. I think I noticed a little bit heavier lean towards the Epcot area resorts in terms of October, November, and we know that's because of run events and food and wine and all those types of things. Boardwalk, Beach Club, now Riviera, those are all high target places in the fall. And so we're going to see those kind of, I think, take on precedent in the fall as far as how many points they take. But the nice part is, for those of you that travel in the summer with typical school vacations over the summer, points are getting cheaper, which is a nice thing. You don't have to worry about burning through a ton of points in the heat of the summer. So that's the general update there.
Visit us in the sauna. You're more than welcome to.
Absolutely. Save some points doing it. So yeah, so keep that in mind. If you guys have questions, I'll always ask, please. I will definitely answer them. Now, moving on specifically to the Condo Association meeting. These happen every year. I think I posted in the group the other day. They're a big snooze fest for the most part. They definitely are pretty slow. There's not a lot of information shared. It's a proxy vote situation. A lot of people go in thinking they get to vote, and stuff like that. It's like, no, you get to go listen, and they get to tell you what happens. And in the end, the board of directors votes, and that is what it is. So keep in mind that a lot of these things that, we put in ideas and we put in, questions to various people. This is where some of those get answered, but not all of them. But got some cool stuff that came out. Obviously, one of the big things that's been talked about over the last few months and that officially confirmed at the DVC annual meeting was that the Keister slide at Boardwalk is changing, and I know B is very happy. The clown is no more. We saw that disappear, and it's turning into Mickey and Friends. So we're waiting to see the final results there. But yes, the Keister clown is no more. He's been around for a long time, and sadly, he will be gone.
That is creepy clown.
Yeah, creepy clown. Not Keister clown, creepy clown. So he will be gone. Oh, he is already gone, but being replaced very soon. As far as Saratoga Springs, so we got a big update there. Things are moving along quite well, considering all things considered. They did obviously have a big slowdown with COVID. That halted construction progress quite a bit. They also had some legal issues. I don't know if anybody noticed in the news, but they dealt with some contractor problems and are going through some litigation issues, had to switch contractors. So that slowed things down a little bit. Good news is Paddock is in progress. The Springs and Congress Park are done. So if you book preferred, you're guaranteed to get a brand new room in terms of the refurbishment. Most of Paddock is
very nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing them. I'm hoping we get one. Paddock is ongoing. They said it'll probably carry through the middle to late next year. So I figure the next section after Paddock will probably be Carousel if they just keep progressing, and then Grandstand at the very end. And hopefully, by this time next year, it'll be completely done. So big refurb, though. It's a long one, obviously, because Saratoga is by far the largest DVC resort out there. Other news, Boulder Ridge and Hilton Head have their scheduled refurbs pushed back, but not too far. They're going to be early 2022 from the looks of it. Boulder Ridge was supposed to start this fall, and it needs it, but obviously that got pushed around. But hopefully we're not too far off from seeing Boulder Ridge get its touches and Hilton Head getting some more on terms of the hard goods. They also had a few soft goods refurbs coming up. Let's see here. We had Alani, Grand Floridian, Poly, Beach Club, all getting soft goods. Man, I feel like Beach Club just had their hard goods. Time's flying. But those, as far as soft goods and hard goods, folks, soft goods is the simple, easy stuff. They'll change bedding, and they'll change curtains, and sometimes they'll change carpet to hard, vinyl hardwood type of stuff. hard goods is where they come in and just gut the thing out. They gut it completely and start pretty much all over. So all these 4 resorts will get some minor new touches, clean up, those types of things after every 7 years. And after 14, they get a full refurb. So got a few of those. They didn't give specific dates from what I saw and what I read. It's just coming here over the next couple of years. These 4 resorts will start to get their soft goods. So lots of new stuff coming in terms of the resorts. Last major thing that they discussed were the annual due stuff. And so this is the big thing that everybody's been waiting for and watching for. As I highlighted prior, about a month ago, we spoke about the budgets coming out.
Right.
About a month ago. When the budgets came out about a month ago, obviously we saw what the actual budgets were going to be for next year. It didn't have anything to do with the credit that we'll talk about here in a minute. Biggest focus, like I mentioned before, was increased reserves. That happens every year as we get closer to these major refurbishments. They've got to stack up the cash to make sure that they're ready for those. Health and safety measures that had to be implemented wherever they put plexiglass and all that type of stuff that comes out of our dues to a certain extent, at least. Wage increases. We're in our final year of the housekeeping increase. So that should start to kind of taper off. We've seen some big jumps in housekeeping costs over the last 3 years. Luckily, that should start to taper off here pretty quick now that they're reaching their minimum $15.
So are we finished with the union increase, or do we still?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. They've been phasing that in. This should be the last one. So as I said, we should definitely see a drastic kind of tapering of what the housekeeping costs are. So 2022, when we start to get due the budgets for 2022, the housekeeping line item should look a lot closer to 2021 than we've seen over the last few years, where we've seen 3%, 4%, 5% jumps in that line item. And then at the beach resorts, they dealt with some major hurricane storm issues over the last couple of years, and so those costs have jumped up quite a bit to increase some of those resorts. Vero's, golly, every time they have a beach erosion event, a hurricane come through, beach gets torn out. Well, the county's responsible for it, but the county turns around and taxes everybody a lot higher to pay for it. So
there's not much beach left there at Vero.
No, it got torn up this year.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So they'll come back in and do it again, and then all that will get passed along to the local everybody via the county tax rates. So a lot of that stuff jumped up. Insurance premiums jumped up because Vero came very close, like in the last 2 years, I think, with 4 storms, like flirting with major issues there. So I'm sure insurance premiums jumped up. I know our insurance premiums jumped up here in Houston, being on the coast, just from having a couple scares here. So the way it is. Now, on to the big item. The big item being the dues credit. I know a lot of y'all were asking questions over the last month when budgets came out. Budgets, obviously, that came out a month ago are proposed for the next year. They didn't include any credits. That is basically what DVC forecasts being the cost to run each various resort the following year. Now, as far as DVC being closed during COVID, we obviously know that 3, 4, 5 months, closures, some of them ongoing. Grand Californian is still closed. So with those closures having impacted so much time, obviously operating costs were a lot lower. Things like housekeeping costs and maintenance and all that type of stuff was a lot less than on a normal year, especially a lot less than what they budgeted. So with that comes a credit. I want to tell people this is nothing new. Credits occur all the time, especially on the tax front. When we deal with the property tax portion, DVC forecasts what they think the property taxes are going to be in a given year. They're never accurate, ever. And so each year there's always usually a slight overage that rolls into, and if you go back to your statements, you'll see a little line item for saying credit for taxes from the previous year. So this is nothing new. It's just new in a grander scale because we've never seen something close down this long and have such a large impact. But the nice news is they're rolling a bunch of money forward. It's not everything, but it's definitely in line with what I was hoping, and I'm glad to see. I was hoping somewhere between 50 cents and $1 per point. Most of them land right in that window. You have a couple outliers. I think Riviera was at $1.70. Yeah, $1.70. You've got Aulani's at $1.67. Grand Cal $1.54. Those last two obviously being closed a lot longer than the other resorts, so that's why I think their credit's a lot larger. Riviera, the credit probably more relates to how much developer inventory Disney carries because they're carrying such a large amount right now. That's why that credit's probably on the much larger scale.
There very well may be a credit for Grand Cal next year also.
There probably will be.
Yeah, so don't be surprised at that.
Yeah, there probably will be. But yeah, I mean, obviously Vero did not see much of a credit. That stinks. But I think part of that being some of the extensive operating cost increases for insurance and such. So only 25 cents per point there. But most, as I said, 50. I mean, you're like 68 cents at Poly, 82 cents at Boulder Ridge. Boardwalk's about 70. So a decent chunk of change. So however many points you own at a specific resort, multiply it by that number, and that's how much your credit's going to be. What'll happen is due statement should come out here probably Wednesday, I would guess, of this week, Wednesday to Friday, somewhere there. So we'll get the actual due statements. What that'll do is you'll see on the due statement, you'll see the assessment rate, which was based off of the budget that we talked about a month ago. Then you'll see a line item that says credit from 2020 overage or something of that nature, and they'll apply the credit. So say you had, say your dues bill was $1,000 and you are going to get a $300 credit. Well, you'll see the 1,000, you'll see the 300, you'll actually only owe 700. And then if you're on monthly auto pay, it'll spread that 700 out over 12 months. So nice thing is everybody's probably walking home. I mean, the average owner is about 150 points. So everybody's probably walking home with an extra 100, 125 bucks in their pocket, which is nice.
Most of the credits, not all, most of the credits are higher than the increase is.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
Remember that. And next year, we're not going to have that credit. We're going to have that current due plus the higher dues.
Yep. So
it's going to hit us a little bit harder.
Yep.
Just to think about that and don't forget that is
obviously, definitely. I mean, from year to year, don't take the credit into account. You need to look at what the actual assessment amount was in terms of dues. The credits this is a one-off type of scenario because of COVID. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Paul, look at Riviera, for example. Riviera only went up like 8 cents per point for the dues, and they're getting $1.70 credit. So, I mean, the dues are like $1.62 less than they were the first year. So Riviera owners are, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of questions, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish and answer this. Joe knows what's coming. Yep. I have been getting questions from people. I sold my property in 2020. How do I get my dues credit? You don't. No. Whoever owns that property right now, as of December 15th, is going to get that credit. Yep. It doesn't matter if you paid the dues. It doesn't matter if the buyer pays the dues. Yep. Whoever owns that property as of December 15th gets the credit regardless. So
as I said, this is nothing new. So if you sold a contract in 2019 and there was a slight credit from taxes, guess what? The buyer got the credit from the taxes. It was just not very noticeable because it was probably it's the same way. It's the same way. They cannot roll a credit forward to somebody who doesn't own the property anymore. It's not possible.
Correct. You own a house and you sell it in December, and the dues are based on what you think they're going to be in January, or the taxes are based in January, what you think they're going to be in January, and they're less, you're not getting that money back. That's going to the buyer. Yep. This is the same situation. The buyer will benefit in this situation every single time. So don't
keep that in mind. Don't
beat your agent up. Don't beat your broker up.
So don't beat B up for this. This is not her choosing. This is one of those things that, as I said, this is nothing new. It's just one of those things that it's such a pronounced number this year that people are probably going to get a little more worked up. In the past, as I said, you look at your due statement, you'd see a credit for 12 cents a point for overage on taxes. And people are like, whatever, I didn't care because it comes out that couple bucks. But when they're looking at a few $100s, types of situation, people start to wonder and start to dig a little bit. But yeah, you have to own the property when the due statement comes out. If you don't, if the property is not in if the deed is not in your name at that point in time, you're not getting credit. So keep that in mind. But yeah, so that's the big news though. I think that there was a little bit of, people were a little skeptical come back a month ago when budgets came out. And I tried to tell everybody, it's just the proposed budget. This is not going to include any sort of credit because this is just what they expect operating costs and everything to be next year, regardless of what happened in 2020. We've got our credit now. We know what they're going to be. So be happy. We actually, you know, it's one of those things that Disney definitely took a hit this year in a lot of different factors. And so, you know, you look at some people benefited from the annual pass, you know, special rules that allowing you to, you know, get a refund on your annual pass and keep dates and stuff. You know, some people walked out of there, got to take their trips with their annual pass and then got all their money back.
Some people still have a Platinum Plus and can't get the Plus part back because the water parks still aren't open.
Yeah, that's true. There's winners and losers in it all. I mean, I think we just all have to kind of realize that it's not a perfect scenario. We are owners. Keep that in mind. I try to remind people that each of these specific resorts are not owned by Disney. They are owned by the Condo Association and the people that own actual minor, small pieces of real estate there. Disney does not own these. So keep that in mind, that Disney doesn't take all the responsibility when something like this happens. We have to take on some of it as well. That's just part of ownership. If you don't want to take on that risk a little bit, rent points, book hotels like normal, that type of stuff. Don't take the timeshare part. But we get the benefit of the savings over the long haul. So to kind of recap, one last thing kind of on the dues front, just a reminder, make sure you're getting your auto pay and everything set up. One other thing they mentioned at the annual meeting, they are not doing a monthly auto pay with a credit card. Like we mentioned about a month ago, to do monthly auto pay, it still has to be a US based checking account. It cannot be a credit card. Reason being, DVC looked into it. They said that member dues would have to jump quite a bit, 2 to 3%, they said, to cover just the credit card processing fees of running everybody monthly.
It's a 3% processing fee on credit cards. So it's not fair to everybody that's not paying with the credit card.
Exactly. So that's just not going to happen. So you can set up annual auto pay with a credit card and they'll run it in January on the 15th. But that's going to cover the whole year. It's not going to go by the monthly deal. If you want to pay monthly, you got to have a US based checking account. It's interest free, 12 total payments, just split up evenly. Starts the 15th, ends the last one is 12/15. So tomorrow is the last one for 2020. And then we'll start all over in January on January 15th for 2021. You can always set that up and then pay with a gift card early and just kind of pay ahead if you want to do it that way. That's how I handle it. I have it on auto pay, and then I go buy gift cards, you know, around the 10th of the month. I reload them with the savings on the gift card, pay them, move it forward another month. So keep that in mind. So that's the big news from the annual meeting. If you do have questions, please ask. I'm going to let B kind of go over some of the big DVC resale and rental, you know, promos and that type of stuff as we get into the end of the year. So take it away.
All right, guys. We are having some specials on sales right now. For the next probably 2 weeks, I would say, depending on when I run out of listings. I am doing anywhere from 2 to 4 listings a day, where if you do a full price offer that day on that property, DVC Shop is paying your closing costs. Merry Christmas. We're not paying your financing fees or anything else, but we will pay 100% of your closing costs, but it has to be a full price offer that day on that particular property. And we're putting properties out every single day, anywhere from 2 to 4 properties. So keep your eyes out. Yesterday, I had a 50-point Grand Floridian and 275-point Polys. Didn't even get a nibble on either one of them. Couldn't believe it. Today I've got a 50-point Vero, a 300-point Saratoga, and a 100-point Saratoga. They're all priced very good. They're not overpriced, and they're ready to go. Tomorrow I'll have 2 or 3 more. Rentals. We are having a lot of rentals right now. We've got $1 off for travel dates before January 31st. We also have $16 a point for bookings through March 31st. We're getting a lot of confirmed reservations. Those are available and can be found on the website at dvcshop.com. If you click on rentals, you will find the confirmed reservations and all of the other rentals. Just because you don't see the date there that you want doesn't mean we can't get it. We have plenty of points to book reservations. So if it is available, we can book it.
Yep. I always run for anybody that's new to the rental game. When you go to the page, confirmed reservations just means that members have already booked those nights specifically to rent them out. That doesn't mean that's all there is. Anything that we as members can see and book in general, so a renter can book for you. So if you don't see what you really want to see on that confirmed reservations page, just get with Lois and everybody over on the rental side and have them run dates and make sure they've got members to rent points, because there's plenty of availability out there. I mean, I was shocked looking at what's available over Christmas break. Usually there's nothing right now, and it's not wide open, but there's definitely more availability than I expected. So if you want to take a last minute trip, they can get you there.
Absolutely. Come join our newsletter. That'll get you our updates. It'll get you our specials, what the special is for that day. And we also have a lot of blogs on different articles. You can go in and search those articles. If you're wanting to know what the best quick serve is, you can type in the search bar quick serve and it'll bring that up for you. Lots of different things there. Traveling with kids, things for kids to do, community halls. We have a lot of blogs and articles there that our members have written. We had a couple of kids that wrote our blog on our community hall, because they go to 2 or 3 community halls every year. So these are not paid for blogs. These are our members writing these blogs to help other members.
We're growing them, and there'll be more and more every day. So
there are. We add them all the time. We have no questions, but there is something I wanted to say to everyone. If you follow me at all, you know that I just became a grandmother to the newest Disney princess.
Yes.
And she was born on Walt's birthday. Tell me we didn't do that one right.
Yeah. When you mentioned that she was going to labor, I was like, you got to be kidding me. That was well planned. That was definitely planned right.
I know, it was funny. I never asked for anything. I never put anything out there, but we had more gifts and cards and well wishes from our DVC family than we did from our own families. And I thank you all very, very much from the bottom of my heart for our family, because people think we're crazy Disney people, and yeah, we pretty much are. And yeah, we get together and have drinks and go out to dinner and spend time with people we've only met on the internet once we're out the parks together. But we take care of our own too. And I want to thank everybody for all that they did for our family. And I mean, we had dinner sent to us the first night my daughter and son-in-law were home from the hospital, which meant I got to hold the baby while they ate. But I mean, it's just, you guys don't know how much it means to me. It means a lot. And I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. Our family really appreciates all that you do and how much you all are there for us. Because we are that stupid, crazy Disney family.
Mm-hmm. We are. Yep.
Joe's wife got me invested in these hair bows that cost $30 a piece and are the size of her head. So we're all a little crazy.
That's right.
That's all I have, Joe. How about you?
I think we probably covered most of it. As I said, if you have questions, please send them over. I know a lot of people watch these after, over the weekend, whatever, when you have better time to watch them. So, feel free to post in the group, send me private messages. People do that all the time as well. But want to make sure that understand all this, what's coming, and we're getting ready to do some more videos, put some more stuff together. So if you have any topics or anything you specifically would like to hear on, please let us know so we can start to build a show around it.
Some series on the resorts.
Yep.
So if there is anything specific you want to see at any of the resorts, please send Joe or I a message. We'll make sure that gets addressed. There are going to be some YouTube videos, and they should be of good quality with the person that's doing them.
Yep, hopefully they'll be good quality. They won't be live either. I know that's one thing. Sometimes people are like, I can't watch the live ones or whatever. Sometimes they're choppy. These are going to be fully high def filmed videos, edited and cleaned up and voiced over and all that good stuff. So they should be I wouldn't say professionally done, but pretty close. So.
Okay, so wrapping up, you should get your bill.
Yeah.
Your bill's coming in the mail in the next few days. It will be on your dashboard probably sooner.
Probably Wednesday. I would guess they're very good about putting it out Wednesday, Thursday of the week that they usually do it. So
you put it out on the weekend and then they close. So it should be on your dashboard in the next couple of days. In the mail shortly thereafter. You can pay various ways. Joe went over all of that.
Keep in mind that the member website will be down. I was going to check the dates because I forgot to look. Whenever they go through this kind of phase of loading all the stuff into the member website, it usually locks out for a little bit. I can't remember. I'm going to see if it pops up here for me. But usually it's like a day, or sometimes it's just after hours one evening. But keep that in mind. If you go to log in and it says it's, all password protected areas are blocked, that's probably why, because they are probably loading up due statements at that moment in time. They also keep in mind, if you're getting ready to book any trips, we are coming into holiday time. So check the membership hours in terms of calling member services, because they are not there every day. If you want to book something on Christmas Day, good luck. You're gonna
resale. They're still behind.
Yes.
Dues are due on January the 15th. They are late on February the 15th. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right. Due the 15th is technically when they're due. But they won't start charging penalties or interest until February 15th. So by then you need to have your auto pay set up, or you need to have it paid in full. So.
Yeah, at least set up, if you're planning on, hey, I'm going to pay this off with my tax money, set it up for January, February until you get your tax money back, so you're not paying those late charges and those fees.
Yes.
Don't give them any more money than you have to.
Exactly. So I was checking, I was going to see if they had that date up where they were going to be closed. It doesn't say right now. My guess, there will be some downtime sometime Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday, when they're loading all the statements and such. You won't be able to pay them right away. Usually you have to wait till the statements load, and then you can get in there and start paying special hours. If you go onto if you go to your notification section on the member website, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, they have the special hours and closures and such. So.
Yeah, but all of this can be done online, so you don't have to call. You don't have to talk to anybody.
Don't have to.
Don't have to. All right, I'm done. Joe?
Go have fun with the baby.
I'm going to. Night, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Bye.